The giant alien ships came out of nowhere. One moment, the space around Earth was empty and quiet. The next moment, it was full of metal monsters that blocked out the stars. Jake Collins stood on the bridge of Luna Station, looking at the screens that showed the alien fleet. He had been an admiral in the Earth Defense Force for 20 years, but he had never seen anything like this. The alien ships were huge. Each one was bigger than a city. They hung in space like dark clouds, and there, metal hulls were covered with weapons that could destroy planets. "How many ships are there?" Jake asked his second-in-command, a young woman named Carol Price. 237 confirmed, sir," Carol said. Her voice was shaking. "And they're all pointing their weapons at Earth." Jake felt his stomach drop. Earth had maybe 50 ships that could fight, and they were all small compared to these alien monsters. It would be like throwing rocks at a tank down on Earth. People were running around in panic. The news channels showed crowds of people trying to get away from the cities. But there was nowhere to run. If the aliens wanted to destroy Earth, they could do it in minutes. In the emergency meeting room under the White House, President Mary Patterson sat with the leaders of every country on Earth. The room was full of scared voices talking in different languages, but they all said the same thing. Earth was going to die. "We need to surrender," said the leader of Japan. "We have no choice." "Maybe we can make a deal," said the leader of Germany. "Give them what they want." But nobody knew what the aliens wanted. They had been sitting in space for 6 hours, doing nothing, just waiting. Then the message came. It appeared on every screen on Earth at the same time. Every television, every computer, every phone showed the same words in every language that humans spoke. The message was simple and scary. Submit, serve, survive. That was all. 3 words that would decide if the human race lived or died. Jake read the message on his screen and felt cold. He had fought in wars before, but this was different. This was not about countries or politics. This was about whether humans would be free or slaves. On Earth, General Lisa Martinez was getting ready to leave the planet. She had to go to Luna Station to meet with Jake and decide what Earth would do. As she climbed into her transport ship, she looked back at the blue sky one last time. She wondered if she would ever see it again. The transport ship flew through space toward the moon. Lisa could see the alien fleet through the window. The ships were so big, they looked like moving mountains. She counted the weapons on just one ship and stopped when she reached 100. One alien ship had more guns than all of Earth's armies put together. When Lisa got to Luna Station, she found Jake in the command center. He was looking at reports from all over the galaxy. The news was bad. "They've done this before," Jake said. 17 star systems. All conquered. All destroyed if they said no. Lisa nodded. She had read the same reports. The aliens called themselves the Zalarian Empire. They had been conquering worlds for hundreds of years. They would arrive at a planet, demand surrender, and either make the people slaves or kill them all. What about the other races? Lisa asked. Did any of them fight back? Jake shook his head. All of them surrendered. Every single one. They chose to live as slaves rather than die as free beings. Lisa felt angry. She had spent her whole life fighting for freedom. She had been a soldier for 30 years, and she had never backed down from a fight. The idea of kneeling to these aliens made her sick. "How long do we have?" she asked. "The message said we have 12 hours to answer," Jake said. "After that, they start shooting." 12 hours. Lisa thought about all the people on Earth, 7 billion humans who were counting on her to make the right choice. She thought about children who would grow up as slaves if Earth surrendered. She thought about the soldiers who had died fighting for freedom throughout human history. "I need to talk to the president," Lisa said. The call to Earth took a few minutes to connect. When President Patterson appeared on the screen, she looked tired and scared. "Lisa, please tell me you have good news," the president said. "I wish I did," Lisa said, "but we both know what we're looking at here. The question is simple. Do we bow down or do we stand up?" The president was quiet for a long time. In the background, Lisa could hear the voices of other world leaders arguing about what to do. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to fight. But they all knew that fighting meant death. "The vote is close," the president said finally. "But I think I know which way it will go." Lisa nodded. She had known President Patterson for 10 years. They had served together in the military before Patterson became a politician. Lisa knew that Patterson would never surrender without a fight. "Whatever Earth decides," Lisa said, "I'll support it." The president smiled sadly. "I know you will. That's why I chose you for this job." The call ended, and Lisa was alone with Jake on the bridge. Outside, the alien fleet waited like vultures circling. A dying animal. "What do you think they'll decide?" Jake asked. Lisa looked at the Earth through the window. It was small and blue and beautiful. It was home to every human who had ever lived. It was worth fighting for, even if fighting meant losing. "I think they'll do what humans have always done when someone tries to make them slaves," Lisa said. "They'll say no." Jake nodded. He had hoped she would say that. He was scared, but he was also proud. Proud to be human. Proud to be free. They would find out soon enough if freedom was worth dying for. The alien emperor sat on his throne aboard the biggest ship in the fleet. His name was Voxthan, and he had been conquering worlds for 50 years. He was tall and covered in green scales, with yellow eyes that glowed in the dark. His claws were sharp enough to cut through steel. Voxthan looked at the message from Earth and laughed. It was just one word. No. He had never seen anything so foolish. The humans had no idea what they were facing. "War Commander Zethkal," Voxthan called, to his second in command. "Did you see this message from the humans?" Zethkal was shorter than the Emperor, but twice as mean. His scales were black, and his teeth were like knives. He had destroyed more worlds than any other commander in the Empire. "Yes, my lord," Zethkal said. "They have chosen death over service." "How boring," Voxthan said. "I was hoping they would. Be more interesting than the others. But they are just as stupid." While the aliens were laughing, the humans were getting ready to fight. Deep under the ground in Switzerland, Dr. Helen Carter was working on something that might save the human race. She had been working on it for 2 years, ever since Earth's telescopes had first spotted alien ships in distant space. Helen was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She had not slept in 3 days. Her laboratory was full of machines that hummed and sparked with electricity. In the middle of the room was a device that looked like a metal egg covered in wires. "Is it ready?" asked the general who had come to check on her work. "As ready as it will ever be," Helen said. "I can't promise it will work. The theory is sound, but we've never tested it on this scale." The device was called a quantum disruptor. It could change the way space and time worked around it. Helen had discovered how to make it while studying black holes. If it worked, it would give human ships the power to fight the aliens. "How many do we have?" the general asked. 50, Helen said. "One for each ship in the fleet," the general nodded. 50 ships against 237. It still seemed impossible, but at least they would go down fighting. Up in space, Captain Roy Anderson was getting his ship ready for battle. The U's Defiance was Earth's newest warship, built in the orbital shipyards around Mars. It was small and fast, designed to fight enemies who were bigger and stronger. Roy had been a pilot for 15 years. He had fought in the asteroid wars. and the Mars Rebellion. But he had never faced anything like this. The alien ships were so big that the Defiance could fly inside one of them and still have room to move around. "Captain," said his weapons officer, a young man named Tim Bradley, "the quantum disruptor is online. All systems are green." Roy nodded. He still did not understand how the disruptor worked, but Dr. Carter had explained it in simple terms. It would let them punch holes in space itself, creating weapons that could hurt the alien ships. "All ships, this is Admiral Collins," came the voice over the radio. "Execute Protocol 7. Show them what humans do when cornered." Roy smiled. Protocol 7 was simple. Attack everything and never retreat. It was not a smart plan, but it was a human plan. The human fleet moved toward the alien ships like a pack of wolves attacking a herd of elephants. The aliens were surprised by how fast the human ships moved. They had expected the humans to surrender or run away. The first alien ship to die was hit by 3 human ships at once. Their quantum disruptors tore holes in space around the alien vessel, and the ship was pulled apart by gravity. The alien crew had no time to scream before they died. "Impossible," Voxton said, watching from his throne. "Their weapons should not be able to penetrate our shields." "The humans have developed some new technology," Zethkal said. "But it does not matter. They are still outnumbered 5-1. The battle raged for hours. Human ships exploded in balls of fire, but they kept attacking. The aliens had better weapons and stronger shields, but the humans fought like they had nothing to lose. Captain Roy Anderson pushed his ship harder than it was designed to go. The Defiance shook and groaned as it flew between the alien ships, firing its weapons and dodging return fire. Roy's crew worked like a machine, each person doing their job perfectly. "Captain, we've lost the main engines," Tim Bradley reported. "We're running on backup power." Roy looked at the alien flagship. On his screen, it was huge and covered in weapons, but he could see a weak spot near the bridge. If he could hit it just right, he might be able to kill the alien emperor. "Set course for the flagship," Roy said. "Full speed." "Sir, that's suicide," Tim said. Roy smiled. "Sometimes suicide is the only way to win." The Defiance flew straight at the alien flagship. The aliens fired everything they had at the small human ship, but Roy flew through the weapons fire like he was dancing. His ship was hit dozens of times, but it kept flying. On the alien flagship, Vox then watched the human ship getting closer. He could not understand why the humans were fighting so hard. They were going to lose anyway. "Destroy that ship," Vox then ordered. "We are trying, my lord," Zethkal said. "But the human pilot is very skilled." The Defiance smashed into the alien flagship like a bullet hitting a wall. The explosion tore through the ship's hull and reached the bridge where Vox then sat on his throne. The alien emperor had just enough time to realize he was about to die before the fire consumed him. With their emperor dead, the alien fleet began to retreat. They had won the battle, but they had lost their leader. The humans had proved that the great Zilarian Empire could be hurt. Admiral Jake Collins watched the alien ships flying away from Earth. Half of his fleet was destroyed, and thousands of humans were dead. But they had won. Earth was still free. "This is just the beginning," Jake said to his crew. "They'll be back with more ships." But Jake was not afraid. The aliens had made a mistake. They had thought humans were like all the other races they had conquered. They had thought humans would be easy to defeat. Now they knew better. Now they knew that humans would rather die than surrender. And that knowledge would spread through the galaxy like wildfire. The war for human freedom had begun. News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On 1,000 conquered worlds, alien slaves heard whispers of the humans who had said no to the Empire. For the first time in centuries, Some of them dared to hope. War-Commander Zethkal stood in the ruins of the Imperial flagship, looking at what was left of Emperor Voxthan. The explosion had turned the great ruler into nothing more than ash and burned metal. Zethkal felt both sad and angry. The Emperor had been like a father to him. "Send word to all fleet commanders," Zethkal ordered his officers. "I am now Supreme Commander of the Imperial Fleet. We will gather every ship in the Empire and burn the human worlds to nothing." The aliens did not understand humans very well. They thought that if they destroyed Earth, the other human colonies would surrender. They did not know that making humans angry was the worst mistake anyone could make. Commander Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Retribution, watching her fleet prepare for battle. She was a tough woman with short black hair and scars on her face from fighting pirates in the outer systems. She had been chosen to lead the human expeditionary force because she was the best fighter in the fleet. "How many ships are coming?" Kate asked her intelligence officer. "Our scouts report over 1,000 alien vessels heading toward human space," the officer said. "They're bringing ships from every corner of the Empire." Kate smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Good. That means we'll know where to find them." The human plan was simple but dangerous. Instead of waiting for the aliens to attack, they would strike. First, Earth shipyards had been working day and night to build new ships with Dr. Carter's quantum weapons. The new human fleet was smaller than the alien armada, but it was faster and smarter. "All ships, this is Commander Sullivan," Kate said into her radio. "We're not going to sit here and wait for them to come to us. We're going to hunt them down and make them pay for what they did to Earth." The human fleet split into small groups, each one heading for a different target. Kate's group went to attack the alien supply base at Rigel Station. It was a huge space station that provided fuel and weapons to the alien fleet. Lieutenant Commander Frank Davis was Kate's spy and information expert. He was a thin man with sharp eyes who could find secrets that others missed. He had been studying the aliens for months, learning their weaknesses. "The station has weak shields on the lower levels," Frank told Kate. "If we attack from below, we can break through their defenses." Kate nodded. "How many aliens are on the station?" "About 50,000, Frank said. "Plus their families and workers." Kate felt a moment of doubt. 50,000 lives was a lot, even if they were aliens. But then she remembered the human cities that had been destroyed in the first battle. The aliens had killed millions of humans, without mercy. "They made their choice when they attacked Earth," Kate said. "No mercy." The attack on Rigel Station was brutal and fast. The human ships appeared out of nowhere, their quantum weapons tearing through the station's shields like paper. The aliens tried to fight back, but they were not ready for the human tactics. Captain Joe Palmer led the boarding party onto the station. He was a big man with a beard who had been a Marine for 20 years. His soldiers moved through the station like ghosts, killing alien guards and taking control of important areas. "Secure the command center," Joe ordered his men, "and find their computer core. We need their information." The fighting on the station was fierce. The aliens fought hard to protect their home, but the humans were better trained and more determined. Within hours, the station was under human control. Frank Davis worked quickly to download the alien computer files. What he found changed everything. About the war. The aliens had detailed maps of their empire, showing every world they controlled and every ship they had. "Kate, you need to see this," Frank said, showing her the alien data. "Their empire is not as strong as we thought. Most of their conquered worlds are held by fear alone. If we hit the right targets, the whole thing could fall apart." Kate studied the information. The alien empire was like a spider web, with thin threads connecting many worlds. If they could cut enough threads, the web would collapse. How many worlds are in rebellion? Kate asked. 17 so far, Frank said. And the number is growing. The aliens are having to send ships to put down revolts instead of attacking us. Kate smiled. This was exactly what they needed. The aliens were strong when they could focus all their power on one target. But if they had to fight on many fronts at once, they would be weak everywhere. Send word to Earth, Kate said. Tell them we're changing the plan. We're not going to defend human space. We're going to liberate alien space. The new strategy was called the Human Scourge by the aliens. Human ships would appear without warning, destroy an alien base or fleet, and then disappear before reinforcements could arrive. They moved like lightning, striking everywhere at once. Captain Bill Harper commanded the UES Vengeance, one of the fastest ships in the human fleet. His job was to hit alien communication centers and make it hard for them to coordinate their forces. Target acquired, said his weapons officer, a woman named Nancy White. Alien communication relay bearing 27 Mark IV. Fire quantum torpedoes, Bill ordered. The torpedoes tore through space and hit the alien relay station. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from 3 star systems away. Another piece of the alien empire had been destroyed. On the alien homeworld of Veltar, Supreme Commander Zeth Kal received reports of attacks from across the galaxy. Human ships were everywhere, destroying everything they could find. The great empire that had taken centuries to build was falling apart in months. How many ships have we lost? Zeth Kal asked his aide. Over 300 confirmed destroyed, the aide said. And we've lost contact with 47 worlds. Zeth Kal felt rage building in his chest. The humans were like a disease, spreading through the galaxy and killing everything they touched. They had to be stopped before they destroyed everything the Empire had built. Recall all ships, Zeth Kal ordered. Every vessel in the fleet. We will gather at the homeworld and make our final stand. But the humans were not done hunting. They had tasted alien blood, and they wanted more. Commander Kate Sullivan looked at the star charts showing the alien homeworld and smiled. Plot a course for Veltar, she told her navigator. It's time to finish what they started. The hunt was about to become a massacre. The Veltar system had been the heart of the alien empire for over 1,000 years. It was home to billions of aliens who had never seen war. Their world was covered in beautiful cities and peaceful farms. Giant space stations orbited the planet, providing defense and luxury for the ruling class. But today, all of that was about to change. Admiral Susan Blake stood on the bridge of the UES Reckoning, the newest and most powerful ship in the human fleet. She was a calm woman with gray hair who had been fighting wars for 30 years. She had earned her position by being smart, tough, and completely ruthless when she needed to be. How many alien ships are defending the system? Susan asked her. Tactical officer. 2,000 and counting, the officer replied. They've pulled ships from every corner of the Empire to defend their homeworld. Susan nodded. The aliens had made exactly the mistake she had hoped they would make. By gathering all their ships in one place, they had left the rest of their empire undefended. But more importantly, they had given the humans a chance to destroy their entire fleet in one battle. Signal the fleet, Susan said. All ships prepare for quantum jump. We're going to hit them hard and fast. The human fleet had grown to over 300 ships, each one equipped with the latest quantum weapons. They had been built in the shipyards around Mars, which had been turned into a giant war factory. Every ship was crewed by volunteers who had lost friends or family in the alien attacks. Captain Danny Cooper commanded the Marines who would board the alien ships. He was a big man with a shaved head and tattoos covering his arms. He had been a soldier since he was 18, and he had never lost a battle. Remember, Danny told his Marines, these aliens showed no mercy to our people. We show no mercy to them, no prisoners, no surrender, no retreat. The Marines cheered. They had been waiting for this moment since the war began. They wanted revenge for Earth, and they were going to get it. The human fleet jumped into the Veltar system like a swarm of angry hornets. The aliens were ready for them, but they were not ready for the fury of the human attack. The humans fought like demons, their ships diving into the alien formation without fear. Supreme Commander Zethkal watched the battle from his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He could not believe what he was seeing. The human ships were smaller and fewer in number, but they fought with a savagery that terrified his crews. They're not trying to win, Zethkal said to his aide. They're trying to die and take as many of us with them as possible. The aide nodded nervously. Should we try to negotiate, sir? Zethkal laughed bitterly. You cannot negotiate with madness. And that is what these humans are, completely mad. The battle raged for hours. Human ships exploded in balls of fire, but they kept attacking. The aliens had better armor and more weapons, but the humans had something more important. They had nothing left to lose. Captain Lisa Park flew her fighter through the alien formations, firing her weapons at anything that moved. Her ship was hit dozens of times, but she kept fighting. She thought about her daughter, who had died when the aliens attacked Earth. She thought about her husband, who had been killed defending Mars. This is for Emma, Lisa whispered as she fired her last torpedo at an alien cruiser. This is for all of them. The torpedo hit the alien ship and tore it apart. Lisa's fighter was destroyed a moment later by alien fire, but she died with a smile on her face. She had made them pay. The turning point came when the UES Reckoning punched through the alien defensive line and headed straight for the alien homeworld. The planet's surface was covered in cities that glowed like jewels in the darkness of space. Target the capital city, Susan ordered her weapons officer. Full spread of quantum torpedoes. Ma'am, there are civilians down there, the officer said. Millions of them. Susan looked at him with cold eyes. They should have thought of that before they attacked Earth. Fire. The torpedoes fell like rain on the alien capital. The explosions lit up the night sky, and the beautiful cities burned. The aliens had learned what humans did to those who threatened their home. Zethkal watched his homeworld burn and felt something he had never felt before: despair. The great empire that had ruled the galaxy for centuries was dying before his eyes. The humans had done in months what no other race had managed to do in 1,000 years. All ships, retreat to the outer system, Zethkal ordered. We'll make our stand there, but there was nowhere to run. The human fleet was everywhere, hunting down alien ships like wolves chasing deer. The aliens who had once been the hunters had become the hunted. Captain Danny Cooper led his Marines onto the alien flagship. The corridors were filled with smoke and the screams of dying aliens. Danny's men moved through the ship like death itself, killing everything they found. Secure the bridge, Danny ordered. I want their commander alive. The Marines fought there, way through the ship's defenses, leaving a trail of alien bodies behind them. The aliens were good fighters, but they were facing humans who had been pushed too far. When they reached the bridge, Danny found Zethkal standing behind his command chair. The alien commander was tall and proud, but Danny could see fear in his yellow eyes. Human, Zethkal said, I surrender. The Empire is defeated. We will withdraw from your space and never return. Danny looked at the alien who had ordered the attack on Earth. He thought about all the humans who had died because of this creature's ambition. He thought about the children who would never grow up and the families that had been destroyed. You're right, Danny said. The Empire is defeated. But you're wrong about one thing. What is that? Zethkal asked. Then he raised his weapon. It's too late to surrender. The shot echoed through the bridge. Zethkal fell to the floor, his yellow eyes staring at nothing. The great alien empire had died with him. Across the galaxy, alien worlds received the news of their empire's fall. Some tried to keep fighting, but most surrendered immediately. The humans had proved that they were not just another race to be conquered. They were something new and terrifying. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. The humans had destroyed an empire, but now they had to decide what to build in its place. Admiral Susan Blake stood on the bridge of her ship, looking at the ruins of the alien homeworld. She felt no joy in the victory, only a grim satisfaction that justice had been done. "Signal Earth," she told her communications officer. "Tell them the Empire is dead. Tell them we won." But Susan knew that winning was only the beginning. The humans had become conquerors, and conquering was easier than ruling. They would have to learn how to govern a galaxy, and that might be harder than defeating an empire. The age of human rule had begun. 5 years had passed since the fall of the alien empire. The galaxy was a very different place now. Where once there had been alien overlords ruling with fear, now there were human governors trying to build something better. President Mary Patterson stood at the podium in the great assembly hall on Earth. Behind her hung the flags of 63 worlds that had joined the Human Federation. The hall was filled with representatives from across the galaxy, both human and alien. "We did not choose this path," Mary said, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall. "We did not want to become rulers of the galaxy. But when evil shows its face, good people must stand against it." The cost of victory had been terrible. Earth's population had dropped from 7 billion to 3 billion. Mars was still mostly uninhabitable, its surface scarred by alien weapons. The asteroid belt had been turned into a fortress of metal and fire that would take decades to rebuild. But humanity had survived. More than that, they had won. And now they faced the hardest challenge of all, learning how to rule wisely. General Alan Roberts sat in his office on the former alien homeworld, now called New Geneva. He was the military governor of the core worlds, responsible for keeping peace in the heart of the old empire. It was not an easy job. "Sir, we have another rebellion on Kepler 442b, his aide reported. "The local aliens are refusing to follow Federation law." Alan sighed. This was the 3rd rebellion this month. The aliens who had once been part of the Empire did not like being ruled by humans. Some of them preferred the old ways, even if those ways had been cruel. "Send in the peacekeepers," Alan said. "Use minimum force, but make it clear that Federation law applies to everyone." The peacekeepers were human soldiers who had been trained to keep order without being too harsh. They were not like the alien Imperial Guards, who had ruled through fear, but they were still effective at stopping trouble. Captain Julie Hayes commanded the UES Liberator, one of the ships that patrolled the outer edges of Federation space. She was a young woman with red hair who had joined the military after her. Home City was destroyed in the war. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from the Tau Ceti system," her communications officer reported. "Local pirates are attacking merchant ships," Julie nodded. Pirates were a constant problem in the outer systems. When the alien empire fell, many of their military ships had been stolen by criminals and rebels. The Federation was slowly hunting them down, but it was taking time. "Set course for Tau Ceti," Julie ordered. "Maximum speed." The Liberator jumped through space using its quantum drive. The technology that had once been used to destroy alien ships was now being used to protect trade routes and keep the peace. It was a better use of the power, Julie thought. When they arrived at Tau Ceti, they found 3 pirate ships attacking a convoy of merchant vessels. The pirates were using old alien technology, but they were no match for a modern human warship. This is Captain Hayes of the Human Federation. Julie broadcast on all frequencies. Surrender immediately, or we will open fire. The pirate's answer was to shoot at the Liberator. Julie shook her head. Some people never learned. Return fire, she ordered. Target their engines. I want them alive if possible. The battle was short and one-sided. The pirate ships were destroyed or captured within minutes. The merchant convoy was saved, and the space lanes were a little safer. Back on Earth, Dr. Helen Carter was working on a new project. The woman who had created the quantum weapons that won the war was now trying to heal the damage that had been done. Her new laboratory was devoted to rebuilding worlds that had been destroyed by the fighting. The atmospheric processors are working well on Kepler 186f, Helen told her assistant. The planet should be habitable again within 10 years. Helen felt good about this work. She had spent the war creating weapons of destruction. Now she was creating tools of renewal. It was a much better use of her skills. The Federation was not perfect. There were still problems with rebellions, pirates, and the difficulty of governing so many different worlds. Some people said the humans were becoming too much like the aliens they had defeated, but there were also success stories. Worlds that had been slave camps under the aliens were now free. Children who would have grown up in chains were now going to school. Trade flowed freely between star systems that had once been cut off from each other. Commander Paul Jackson led a team of human diplomats who were trying to negotiate with the remaining alien holdouts. These were worlds that had refused to join the Federation and were trying to rebuild their own empires. We're not asking you to surrender, Paul told the alien leader across the negotiation table. We're asking you to join us in building something better. The alien, whose name was Kethven, looked at Paul with distrust. Why should we trust humans? You destroyed our empire and killed our people. Paul nodded. You're right. We did destroy your empire, but we did it because your empire was built on slavery and murder. We're offering you a chance to be part of something that's built on freedom and justice. Kethven was silent for a long moment. And if we refuse? Paul's expression hardened. Then you'll learn what happened to the last empire that threatened innocent people. The negotiation continued for hours, but eventually, Kethven agreed to join the Federation. It was another small victory in the long process of building a better galaxy. President Patterson met with her advisors in the war room beneath the White House. The room was filled with screens showing the status of Federation worlds across the galaxy. How many worlds are now part of the Federation? She asked. 97, replied her chief of staff, with 12 more in the process of joining. Mary felt a mixture of pride and worry. The Federation was growing, but growth brought new challenges. How do you govern a galaxy? How do you keep peace between so many different species and cultures? What about the Outer Rim? Mary asked. Any word from the exploration fleets? They found evidence of other empires beyond our borders, the chief of staff said. Some of them might be hostile. Mary nodded. The galaxy was a big place, and humans had only conquered a small part of it. There were probably other threats out there waiting to be discovered. Keep the fleet ready, Mary said. We've learned what happens when we're not prepared for war. Captain Julie Hayes stood on the bridge of the Liberator, looking out at the stars. Her ship was patrolling the edge of Federation space, watching for threats from the unknown regions beyond. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from an unknown source, her communications officer reported. It's not from any Federation world. Julie felt a chill. What does it say? The officer's face was pale. It says, submit, serve, survive. Julie felt her blood turn cold. Those were the same words the Zalarian Empire had sent to Earth 5 years ago. The same words that had started the war that changed everything. Are you sure? Julie asked. Yes, Captain. The message is being transmitted on all frequencies, just like before. Julie thought about the choice her people had made 5 years ago. When faced with the demand to surrender, humanity had said no. That single word had led to the destruction of an empire and the birth of a new age. Now someone else was making the same demand. Someone who thought they could intimidate the Human Federation the way the Zalarians had tried to intimidate Earth. Signal. Earth immediately, Julie ordered. Tell them we have a new threat, and send this message back to whoever sent it. Julie looked out at the stars where the signal had come from. Somewhere out there, a new enemy was waiting. They thought they could make humans bow down and accept slavery. They were about to learn the same lesson the Zalarians had learned. What should I send back, Captain? The communications officer asked. Julie smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. It was the smile of someone who had been through hell and come out stronger on the other side. Send them the same message Earth sent to the Zalarians, Julie said. One word, no. The message went out into the darkness of space, carrying with it the promise that humanity would never kneel to anyone. The Federation had been born from the ashes of an empire that had thought humans would be easy to conquer. Now, another empire was about to learn what happened when you threatened Earth's children. The cycle was beginning again. But this time, humanity was ready. This time, they were not the small, weak species that could be bullied into submission. They were the conquerors of the Zalarian Empire, the rulers of 100 worlds, the people who had turned no into the most dangerous word in the galaxy. Somewhere in the darkness, a new enemy was preparing for war. They thought they knew what they were facing. They thought humans were just another species that could be conquered and enslaved. They were wrong. The Human Federation had learned many things in the 5 years since Earth's first defiant answer. They had learned how to build ships that could tear apart space itself. They had learned how to fight wars across 1,000 star systems. They had learned how to destroy empires and rebuild them better. But most importantly, they had learned that freedom was worth any price, and that some words had the power to change the universe. The galaxy had heard humanity's answer once before. Now it would hear it again, and this time the burning would be even brighter.